Hello and welcome to PMCLounge.com. In this video, we are talking about analogous estimation, but I'd like to quickly remind you, if you are into reading articles rather than watching videos, you can always head over to PMCLounge.com. That is where you will find related articles for all our videos that you see on this YouTube channel. So, analogous estimation, the first link in the description will take you to the article of analogous estimation. Now, analogous, the word itself comes from another word called analogy, which means drawing comparisons for the sake of clarification or explanation. So that is what analogous should be about. Let's look into the definitions and study analogous estimation. So analogous estimation, it is basically an estimation technique that can be used for calculating several project parameters, especially the two pointed out here, duration and cost. So this is where in project management, the technique analogous estimation is used the most. Now, the estimates are basically based on historical data by comparing the current activity with a similar activity that took place in the past. So what you basically do is you look at the activity in hand that you need to estimate, and then you draw comparisons with a similar activity that you have already performed in the past, and then you come up with an estimate of sorts about how much time or how much cost it will take to do that activity. So this is obviously a kind of expert judgment, because what you're doing here is making a judgment of the estimate that it is going to take, right? And you are also using a dash of historical data here. You're not simply looking at the activity and making a judgment about it on how much cost or how much time it will take, but you're also referring to historical data. And that is why it is not something which you can say is expert judgment, but it is a separate entry in the tools and techniques, which is analogous estimation. Do keep in mind that you are not doing any kind of calculations here. You are simply making a judgment based on the data at hand. Now let's look at an example of analogous estimation. So previously, projects of this size, so the project that you're doing, previously, the projects of this size took 4 weeks for design activity. So it should be the same this time around. So basically the project you are assigned to, you look at it and you believe that the projects of this size have previously taken 4 weeks for design. So you estimate that it will take 4 weeks to complete design for this project. Now the key here is to identify similarities. You cannot look at a previous project which has no similarity with the current project and then make any kind of estimation. Remember, the word analogous comes from analogy, and you have to draw comparisons. If you have to draw comparisons, you have to look at similarities. You cannot compare apples and oranges. So that is the reason why analogous estimation will not work in situations which aren't similar, in projects which are not similar, in activities which are not similar. So similarity is the one thing which is the key that you need to take care of in this technique. A quick reminder here, if you're wondering what books to use for PMP preparation, head over to pmclounge.com/resources and you can buy the books. We have listed there our favorite books. Now, some of the advantages of analogous estimating. First one is that it is a simple technique. You are basically making use of historical data. You are not using any kind of software. You're not using any kind of formula. You're not doing any kind of calculations. This is a simple technique. You're simply referring to historical data here. Now, this is also very advantageous when only a few details about the project are known. So you only know very little details about the project. Still, by drawing analogy, by drawing comparisons, you can come up with it. Other than that, you can come up with estimates pretty quickly as well. You don't, since you're not making use of any formula, you're not doing any calculations. This is something which is pretty quick. Next up, since we are only drawing comparisons from historical data, this technique is also helpful in estimating tasks in the WBS. So Although you can obviously come up with schedule estimates, your cost estimates, but you can also take a look at WBS and the tasks listed in those WBS, and you can also do estimation for those tasks, because we are only looking at similar tasks which were performed in previous projects, and you can do analogous estimation right away. The organization's own historical project data is being used, so the accuracy is pretty high. I'll talk a bit about this point because you may think of this technique, the analogous estimation technique, as something which will not give accurate estimates, right? Isn't that something that you would think? Because you're not making any calculations, you're simply drawing comparisons. But think of it this way: you are drawing comparisons from historical data of your own organization, not from an industry perspective. You're not drawing comparisons on how long does the industry take to deliver an app. You are drawing comparisons on how long your own company took in the past to deliver an app. And that is why your estimates will actually have pretty high accuracy, because these estimates are tailored to your organization, not the industry as a whole, or not the general guidelines as a whole. Are there any disadvantages that you can think of? Well, here's one that I'd give you, and definitely if you have any other disadvantages that you can see in this technique, do drop them in the comments. But here's one I'll give you to walk away with, and that's the fact that you need historical data. You need a database, and you need historical data to be preserved and prevented so that this technique can be used for future projects. If you don't have historical data, if your organization is doing first project, right, this is your first project, then you cannot do analogous estimation. If your organization is all about developing apps, and you are taking up a project which is about developing a website, you cannot use analogous estimation. So one of the disadvantages of this technique is that you should have a database of historical data handy. You should have delivered similar projects in the past to make use of this kind of technique. Now, in conclusion, here's the thing. Ideally, you should be using analogous estimation only in the starting stages of your project, only in the beginning, only in the initial phases when you have very limited information on the project in hand, right? If you have detailed information, then go with other tools and techniques of estimation, which will give you more accurate and more reliable data than maybe analogous estimation could come up with. Now, the other thing is this point, I'd like to take up this point and spend a minute on it. A lot of times as a project manager, and let me know in the comments if you have also landed up in a situation where someone from higher management, or someone who is an executive in your company, someone from the top management can come up to you and ask you, okay, you have delivered ABC project in the past. We are thinking about taking up an XYZ project. Based on your experience, how much time and how much budget will it take to deliver XYZ? We are asking you this question because we are kind of looking into selecting this project. Whether or not to select this project, to take up that decision, we need high level estimates from your end. Can you give that estimates? Can you provide that estimates by tomorrow? Now, what do? The only thing that you know about this project is maybe a high level scope of the project, a very high level scope of the project, and you know that you have delivered a project of this sort in the past. So what you do here is you make use of analogous estimation technique. You refer to the previous project that you have already delivered. You refer to ABC project, and you draw parallels, and you come up with estimation of cost and estimation of schedule for the XYZ project in time, because you can come up with the estimations pretty quickly making use of analogous estimation technique, right? So you come up with those estimates and you provide those estimates to the executives, you provide those estimates to the top management, the higher management, and you tell them that these are my high level estimates. Now you can make use of these estimates and you can perform your project selection techniques, you can perform your project selection, whatever that you want to do, and you can come up with, uh, speak with our marketing and come up with the revenue that the company can make out of this project, right? You can basically think and take a decision whether it is a good opportunity to take up this project or not. This is where analogous estimation is mostly used. This is where analogous estimation is going to be very, very handy. I have been in this situation personally many times. Let me know in the comments if you have been in such situation as well. So that's all that we had about analogous estimation. Do hit the like button if you enjoyed the video and learned something about it. Subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon if you haven't done so already. And don't forget to check us out on our website pmclounge.com, your number one free PMP resource, and also on our social media. PMC Lounge is our handle on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Thank you.